Welcome to 1189, an online Bible commentary. My name is Tyler Marston, and today we're taking a look at Matthew chapter 10. Now, Jesus had continued to preach and to teach and to heal, and now he's going to send his disciples out to start their own ministries. There's so much work to be done, and he feels so much compassion that he just feels like he has to cover more ground. And so he gives these disciples kind of a test to see what they can do on their own. Now, his instruction to them makes up that second block of teaching that Matthew arranges his gospel around. And so Jesus is going to encourage his disciples through the face of persecution and rejection and suffering to look past that and to look at the rewards from the Father to come and see how God is going to sustain them on their journey. Jesus summoned his 12 disciples and gave them authority over unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal every kind of disease and every kind of sickness. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these. The first, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, and James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James the son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon the zealot, and Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed him. And so Jesus gathers his disciples and gives them the authority to do what he has been doing, healing the sick and casting out demons and the like. And he gives them that authority so that they'll be able to do those signs in their own ministries. And yet, even through this encouragement and commissioning, we see the narrator, Matthew, tell us that Judas Iscariot is going to go on to betray Jesus. It's a grim foreshadowing of what's to come, and it should keep us as readers on high alert to his movements throughout the story. These 12 Jesus sent out after instructing them. Do not go in the way of the Gentiles, and do not enter any city of the Samaritans, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So he tells them at first to announce to only Israelites that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Now, this is not because he's prejudiced, right? He's already healed non-Israelites. The Gentiles and Samaritans have their own presuppositions of what saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand would mean, what that would look like. And Jesus' meaning is evident if you faithfully study Old Testament scriptures, which Gentiles and Samaritans didn't do. Jesus also knows that some of his disciples, early in their own conversions and ministries, might have their own prejudices against Gentiles and Samaritans. So he instructs them to start small and build a good foundation where everybody understands everybody. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. Freely you received, freely give. Do not acquire gold or silver or copper for your money belts, or a bag for your journey, or even 2 coats or sandals or a staff, for the worker is worthy of his support. And whatever city or village you enter, inquire who is worthy in it, and stay at his house until you leave that city. And as you enter the house, give it your greeting. If the house is worthy, give it your blessing of peace. His instructions to his disciples are to heal, and heal generously, right? Don't hold back this ability to change people's lives and give them hope and healing. And they shouldn't do it because they themselves have been generously changed and healed, like Peter's mother-in-law and Matthew's change of heart from being a tax collector to a follower of Jesus. He also says that they should be completely dependent on God's providence, right? Not bringing any money with them, not bringing any support or a staff or extra clothes, right? Everything they need is going to be given to them by God, and so they don't need to come in with any backup plans. And it's intriguing for us to think about, how would our lives look different if we lived every day by this type of generosity, this type of humility and dependency on God? But if it is not worthy, take back your blessing of peace. Whoever does not receive you, nor heed your words, as you go out of that house or city, shake the dust off your feet. Truly I say to you, it will be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Now he also tells them that in some places they go to, they will be rejected, right? Nobody will want to hear what they have to say. And Jesus says, don't worry about them, just move on. We can't be so prideful that one person rejecting us makes us question our whole calling or our whole responsibility in Christ. It's sort of like Samuel when the Israelites asked for a king in 1 Samuel chapter 8. God says how they didn't reject Samuel in asking for a king, they rejected God himself. And Jesus' advice to his disciples is the same. If these people reject you, no, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting me. Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. So be shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves. But beware of men, for they will hand you over to the courts and scourge you in their synagogues. And you will even be brought before governors and kings for my sake, as a testimony to them and to the Gentiles. And so Jesus also warns that some people won't just be apathetic towards the message of Jesus' good news. Other people are going to be openly hostile towards it. And so therefore, the disciples should be innocent of all wrongdoing and also smart to not get themselves in any stupid situations. But Jesus also gives a kind of encouragement to his disciples, who he knows are going to be persecuted and handed over to courts and tried before kings and governors. Jesus says that's an opportunity to be a witness towards some of the most powerful people in the area for Christ, for the cause of the kingdom of heaven. But when they hand you over, do not worry about how or what you are to say, for it will be given to you in that hour what you are to say. For it is not you who speak, but it is the Spirit of your Father who speaks in you. He says the Spirit will be with them and with us in those times of persecution and suffering. The Spirit will give us words to speak when we don't know what to say. It's an incredible promise to his disciples, and it's still applicable to us today. Brother will betray brother to death, and a father his child, and children will rise up against parents and cause them to be put to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but it is the one who has endured to the end who will be saved. But whenever they persecute you in one city, flee to the next, for truly I say to you, you will not finish going through the cities of Israel until the Son of Man comes. A disciple is not above his teacher, nor a slave above his master. It is enough for the disciple that he become like his teacher, and the slave like his master. But if they have called the head of the house Beelzebul, how much more will they malign the members of the household? Now he says that this mission might make his followers lose friends or lose family. It might make them slandered or feel lonely. But there's hope and unity and perseverance through being a member of Jesus' house. Now we are to do the same thing, going from place to place, city to city, preaching the good news of Jesus Christ, even at risk of persecution. And we know persecution will inevitably come because of how they persecuted Jesus. If we really follow him, people are going to have the same hang-ups about us as they did about him. Therefore, do not fear them, for there is nothing concealed that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. What I tell you in the darkness, speak in the light, and what you hear whispered in your ear, proclaim upon the housetops. Do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a cent? And yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So do not fear, you are more valuable than many sparrows. Therefore everyone who confesses me before men, I will also confess him before my Father who is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will also deny him before my Father who is in heaven. So the reason we have hope through all of this promised persecution and suffering is because God knows us and wants to take care of us and wants good things for us. We know that he's in control even in the midst of the worst persecution. And so Jesus says to proclaim him and his Father while we're here on earth, and Jesus will proclaim us to his Father when we're in heaven. Yet he also warns that the opposite is just as true. Do not think that I came to bring peace on the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I came to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's enemies will be the members of his household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who has found his life will lose it, and he who has lost his life for my sake will find it. Here, Jesus reminds us of passages like Ezekiel 38 and Micah 7, where the coming of the Lord is said to be like a sword that sets families against themselves. Jesus says he's doing this because anyone who can't deny himself, or his family, or his human nature, or his earthly allegiances, anyone who can't deny those things when they're directly opposed to righteousness, they don't deserve a resurrection life given to those people who did make really tough sacrifices for righteousness' sake. Just like the resurrection life that was given to Jesus. Even though he did nothing wrong, he was despised and rejected and murdered, killed, publicly executed for our sake, and was raised to life by God, vindicated as his Messiah. Right? And so to follow in his footsteps, that's a tough calling, and it's not for the faint of heart. He who receives you receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward, and he who receives a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whoever in the name of a disciple gives to one of these little ones even a cup of cold watered drink, truly I say to you, he shall not lose his reward. But here's the thing, it's worth it in the end. There is a reward. And that reward is unification with believers, a new family, new allegiances. It's a new nature, a new creation, a new life, a new world united and created by God. All things serving his glory, his purposes, his righteousness. That resurrection began with Christ and is available to all of us, even today. But in order to be resurrected, we have to die to ourselves. Now, this block of teaching is instructions for the disciples, but they should also teach us on how to conduct our own ministries, on how to conduct our own lives. We should be completely dependent on God for sustenance and success. We should be very aware of the persecution we might and probably will face. We should be willing to sacrifice a lot, even our own lives, for the sake of advancing the gospel. After all, that's what Jesus did for us. But through all of that pain and all of that suffering and all that persecution, we should never forget that there is a reward with Jesus. The question we all have to ask is that reward worth it? I think it is, and I hope you think it is too. Thanks for watching 1189. I've been Tyler Marston. I hope you have a good day, and God bless.